I'm recording this from my quiet room in the care home. Tomorrow they start the first round of chemotherapy for what the doctors call terminal. My 3 children, they don't know. None of them have answered my calls in over 2 years. My name is Arthur Maxwell. I'm 92 years old, and a few weeks ago they told me I don't have much time left. I'm going to tell you how I raised my 3 children, Sarah, David, and Michael, alone after their mother passed, and today, I face my final battle completely alone. If you have parents, please, listen to the end. It might save your family from a regret that will haunt them forever. The silence in this room, it's a constant companion now. It used to echo with laughter, with scraped knees, with the beautiful chaos of 3 children growing up. My dear wife John left us too soon, but I promised her I'd raise them right. I worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs, to put food on the table, to pay for their schooling, to give them everything. My hands, once strong from honest work, now just tremble, mostly from the cold, I tell myself, but I know it's also from longing. My little Sarah, my strong David, my bright Michael, they were my world. Every sacrifice, every ounce of my youth, it was for them. I never asked for anything, only their presence, their love. But that presence, it just faded, like an old photograph in the sun, slowly disappearing until only a faint outline remains. It wasn't a sudden storm, it was a slow, creeping frost, a gradual pulling away that left me stranded, frozen. But to understand how I, a man who built a life around his family, ended up completely alone facing his last days in silence, I need to go back to the days when our house was full and my heart was even fuller. It's been 247 days since my son last answered my phone. Not a text, not a call back, just silence. My daughter Sarah, she changed her number. My little Michael, he just stopped. But I remember when David used to call me my king, not just my father. I remember the sweet yeasty smell of freshly baked bread that filled our kitchen every morning, how Sarah would always try to sneak a piece before it cooled. I remember the raucous laughter, a symphony of joy, around our worn but always full Christmas table, the one I built with my own hands. If you knew what I discover at the end of this story, maybe there would still be time for you not to make the same mistake my children did. I close my eyes, and it's Christmas Eve, 1978. Sarah, barely 6, is pulling at my sleeve, her eyes wide as saucers, whispering about Santa. David, 8, is trying to look grown up, but I can see the excitement twitching at the corner of his lips as he helps me arrange the ornaments, each one a memory. Michael, just 4, is completely absorbed, tracing the patterns on the frosted window pane, his little finger leaving misty trails. Their mother, my John, she would be humming carols, her apron dusted with flour from the pies. Our little house, packed with life and love. Not a big house, mind you, but big enough for all our dreams. We didn't have much, but we had each other. That was more than enough. My hands, calloused from years of working at the mill, were the hands that carved their Halloween pumpkins, the hands that patched their bicycle tires, the hands that dried their tears when school bullies were cruel. I was their protector, their provider, their father. And after John left us, I was their everything. I chose them every single day. Their needs always came first. Always. Wait, I haven't told you the part that makes me cry every night yet. It's not just the silence now that breaks me. It's the echoes of what used to be. It's the stark, brutal contrast. I remember when David, my strong David, came home from school one day, his shirt torn, a bruise blooming on his cheek. He'd stood up for Michael, who was being picked on. He was only 10, but he looked at me with such fierce pride, such loyalty. "I won't let anyone hurt my brother, Dad," he'd declared. I hugged him so tight that day, my heart swelling with a pride that could burst through my chest. That was my son, the boy who would later refuse a scholarship to stay closer to home and help me with the bills, always saying, "Family comes first, Dad." Where did that David go? And Sarah, my little Sarah, she was a whirlwind of curiosity and kindness. I remember teaching her to bake my mother's apple pie recipe, her tiny hands, sticky with sugar and cinnamon, carefully pressing the crust into the tin. "Look, Daddy, just like yours," she'd exclaim, her face beaming. She had a laugh like wind chimes, and she'd often just sit beside me in the evenings reading her books, occasionally looking up to share a passage or just to say, "I love you, Dad." She was the one who always reminded me to take my medicine, even when she was just a teenager. My little girl who dreamed of being a nurse, always tending to others. Today I'm just a phantom in her memory, if I exist at all. I still keep a faded photograph of her high school graduation. Her smile, so bright, so full of promise, framed by a cap and gown I worked 2 extra shifts to buy. She gave me a hug that day, a hug that seemed to promise a lifetime of connection. I still feel the ghost of it sometimes, here in this lonely room. Michael, my bright Michael. He was the quiet one, but with a mind like a steel trap. He'd spend hours in his room poring over books, taking apart old radios and putting them back together. I taught him everything I knew about carpentry, about fixing things with your own 2 hands. We spent countless Saturdays in my workshop, the scent of sawdust and oil filling the air. He was a natural, his nimble fingers understanding the mechanics of things, long before I could explain them. "Dad," he once said when he was just 16, showing me a birdhouse he'd built perfectly, "I want to be a builder just like you." He went to university, got his degree, became a successful architect. He always called, always came home for holidays. He was my rock, the one I thought would understand. He was the son I saw inheriting my spirit, carrying on the tradition of craftsmanship, of building not just structures, but a strong family. I still remember the first time he came home from college, showing me his blueprints, his eyes shining with ambition. "It's all thanks to you, Dad," he'd said, giving me a rare, strong hug. "You taught me to create." That memory, it's a double-edged sword now. It's beautiful, but it's also a constant reminder of what I've lost. I remember their birthdays, each one a monumental celebration. The year David wanted a baseball glove and I scrimped and saved, working extra shifts until my back ached, just to see his face light up. The time Sarah begged for a bright pink bicycle, and I spent an entire weekend assembling it, hiding it in the shed until the big reveal. And Michael's 18th when I took out a small loan against John's advice to buy him his first real set of architect's drafting tools. Each gift was a piece of my heart, a testament to my devotion. I wasn't just giving them objects, I was giving them hope, a piece of a better future. I was giving them everything I never had. They were the reason I woke up every morning, the reason I fought through the grief of losing their mother, the reason I kept going when I thought I couldn't. Our family dinners were never quiet. There was always a debate about school, a story about a friend, or a shared joke that would make us all erupt in laughter. I loved listening to their dreams, their plans, their innocent fears. My children, my legacy. I watched them grow, bloom, become intelligent, capable adults. I believed I had done my job. I believed I had instilled in them the values John and I cherished: loyalty, compassion, family. I truly believed they understood the meaning of unconditional love, because I had shown them nothing less. I taught David how to be a man of his word, Sarah how to be kind and empathetic, and Michael how to pursue his passions with diligence. I gave them roots, and I gave them wings. I saw them soar, and my heart soared with them. But what good are roots if the tree abandons its soil? And what good are wings if they fly so far away they forget the nest? This room now is like that nest, empty and cold, waiting for birds that will never return. And I, the old bird, am just waiting for the last winter. It didn't happen all at once, you see. It was gradual, like a plant dying without water. A slow, agonizing wilting that you barely notice day by day, until one morning you realize it's gone, faded, dead. My children, my Sarah, my David, my Michael, they didn't just disappear, they evaporated, bit by bit. The first real crack in my world, the one that truly made my old heart ache, was on my 85th birthday. I remember it clearly. It was a Tuesday. I'd spent the whole morning humming, puttering around the house, baking my own small cake. Just a little one, mind you, but it felt right. I even put out the good china, the set John and I got for our wedding, the one Sarah always admired. I told myself it was silly, but deep down I expected a call, a card, maybe even a surprise visit. Michael had always been so good with dates, so thoughtful. Sarah too, she remembered everything. And David, well, David loved cake. I sat there by the telephone for hours. I kept looking at the clock thinking, any minute now. The cake sat on the table, a single candle, unlit. The phone didn't ring, not once. No cards arrived in the mail, no knocks on the door. The sun set, painting the kitchen in a harsh, lonely orange. That night I ate a small piece of cake in the dark, and it tasted like ash. It wasn't just a forgotten birthday, it was a forgotten father. My strong Michael, my thoughtful Sarah, my boisterous David. They were too busy, I told myself, they just forgot. But the seed of doubt, of cold, hard truth, had been planted. Then came the fall. I was just reaching for a book on a high shelf, my balance not what it used to be. A simple stumble, but my old bones couldn't take it. I lay there for a long time, the pain a sharp, cold knife. It was Sarah who found me, a full day later, when she finally came by to drop off some groceries. She helped me up, of course, her face grim. She called David and Michael. The three of them gathered around my bed later that evening, their faces serious. "Dad," Sarah began, her voice softer than usual, but with an edge I didn't like. "We've been talking. This house, it's just too much for you now. You need more care than we can give." David nodded, looking at his shoes. "It's for your own good, Dad," he echoed, a hollow phrase. My little David, who always stood up for Michael, who vowed family came first. My heart sank. "A care home," Michael added, his voice clipped and efficient, like he was delivering a business proposal. "We found a good one. It's clean, has medical staff, activities." He didn't even meet my gaze. I looked at their faces, searching for a glimmer of the children I'd raised, the ones who promised to always look after me. All I saw was a weary kind of resignation, as if I were a problem to be solved, a chore to be checked off their list. My home, the place where I'd raised them, where their mother had lived and loved, was suddenly too much for me. It wasn't about my safety, I knew, not truly. It was about their convenience. It was about me becoming a burden. I remembered how I'd taught Michael to build, how he aspired to be an architect, and here he was, dismantling the very foundation of my life. The betrayal, it stung sharper than any fall. The day of the move, I'll never forget it. It was a crisp autumn morning, the kind where the air holds the scent of fallen leaves and the promise of colder days to come. My children were there, but they were like strangers in my own house. They moved quickly, efficiently, packing boxes of my belongings, but not our belongings, not the things that truly mattered. I watched them, a ghost in my own memories. My worn armchair, the one by the fireplace where I'd read them stories, where John and I had shared so many quiet evenings. They just left it. "Too big for the room at the facility, Dad," David muttered, not even looking at me. It stood there, a silent sentinel of a life I was being forced to abandon. And the photo album, the big leather-bound one with all our memories, their baby pictures, John's radiant smile, our vacations, their graduations. It sat on the mantelpiece, collecting dust. I picked it up, ran my trembling fingers over the faded cover. "Don't worry, Dad, we'll get it next time," Sarah said, rushing past me with a box. Next time. The words hung in the air, empty promises already echoing. I wanted to tell them to take it, to hold on to it, to remember. But I knew it wouldn't matter. They were leaving behind more than just an armchair and a photo album. They were leaving behind our shared history. And I, Arthur, was just another piece of old furniture, no longer functional, no longer wanted in their new modern lives. When we arrived at the care home, the air was thick with the smell of disinfectant and something else, something cloyingly sweet trying to mask it. They escorted me to my new room, a small sterile space. The bed was made, the lamp on the nightstand, all impersonal and unwelcoming. They helped me unpack a few shirts, my shaving kit. It was quick, too quick. "We should go, Dad," Michael said, looking at his watch. "We have appointments." Sarah gave me a quick, almost apologetic hug. David patted my shoulder. "We'll be back next week, Dad. We promise," he said, avoiding my eyes. My strong David, the same one who had once vowed, "Family comes first, Dad." The words were a bitter echo in the silent, unfamiliar room. I watched them walk out, their backs straight, their steps hurried. I watched them get into their cars I had helped them pay for, dreams I had sacrificed for. I watched them drive away, and I never saw them again. Not really. The promise of next week became next month, then "we'll call," then nothing at all, just the silence. But what I found out later, that's what truly broke my heart into pieces. You know what's worse than death? Being alive and forgotten. Every morning here at Willow Creek, the routine is the same. The harsh fluorescent lights flicker on at 6 a.m., casting long, stark shadows across my tiny room. A nurse, a kind young woman named Maria, brings a tray of what they call breakfast, a lukewarm bowl of oatmeal, tasteless, with a faint metallic aftertaste from the tray. I eat it not because I want to, but because I must, because even forgotten, my body still insists on clinging to life. I look out the window, as I do every day. The same patch of lawn, the same 3 trees, the same grey sky. I used to watch the sunrise with John, my dear wife, hand in hand, sipping coffee, planning our day, our lives, our children's futures. Now, I just watch the emptiness. I watch for a car that never comes, a face I know, a shadow that isn't just my own. The silence here is a physical thing. It presses in on my ears, a dull ache that never leaves. Sometimes I swear I can hear the dust motes dancing in the sunbeams, the faint hum of the building's ancient pipes, anything to fill the void. I often find myself talking to the single framed photograph I managed to bring with me, a picture of my 3 children, Sarah, David, and Michael, on a summer day, their faces bright, smeared with ice cream. "My little Sarah," I whisper, tracing her smiling face with a trembling finger. "My strong David, my bright Michael." I repeat their names, not just to remember them, but to remind myself that they existed, that I wasn't always this invisible man. The days bleed into one another. Lunch, a brief nap, a quiet hour in the common room watching the television with the sound turned down. I can barely hear it anyway. Then dinner, more bland food, and back to my room, back to the silence, back to the waiting, waiting for sleep, waiting for the next dawn, waiting for, what? A reprieve, a visit, an end. The coldness in this room isn't just from the poorly regulated air conditioning. It's a coldness that seeps into my bones, into my very soul. It reminds me of the coldness that started to grow between me and my children. I used to laugh at old men who talked to themselves, who stared blankly into space. Now, I am that old man. My hands, once capable of building entire houses, can barely hold a teacup steady. My eyes, which once saw the potential in every sunrise, now just see the slow, steady approach of twilight. I remember the scent of fresh-cut lumber, the warmth of sawdust, the comforting weight of a hammer in my hand. Now the only scents are the antiseptic and the stale air. My world has shrunk to these 4 walls and the echoing silence within them. I sometimes close my eyes and try to conjure the smell of my wife's freshly baked bread or the sound of Sarah's laughter. But the memories are fading just like the photographs, just like me. If you think what you've heard so far is sad, prepare yourself. It was a Tuesday a few months after I moved into Willow Creek. I was sitting in the common room pretending to read a newspaper, but mostly just watching the door. Always watching the door. A group of nurses was chatting near the reception desk, just a few feet away. My hearing isn't what it used to be, but I caught a familiar name. David Maxwell. My David. My heart gave a little jolt, a hopeful flutter I thought had long since died. Was he here? Was he finally coming? I strained to listen. One of the nurses, a cheerful woman named Brenda, was on the phone, her voice bright. "Yes, Mr. Maxwell, of course. Your father, Arthur, is doing very well. Yes, we saw you last week. Always good to see family involved." My breath caught in my throat. Last week. David hadn't visited me in months. Not since the day they dropped me off here. Not a single visit. Not a single phone call answered. My heart began to pound, a frantic drum against my ribs. I wanted to stand up, to shout, to confront her, but my legs felt like lead, and my voice, when I tried to speak, was just a dry, raspy whisper that no one would hear. I just sat there, frozen, listening to Brenda's polite, professional voice. She was talking about my health, my progress. She mentioned that I was settling in nicely, and that it's always good when families show such support. I saw her nod, smiling, then she hung up. My son, David, had just lied to this kind woman. He had told her he visited me last week, and she, in her good nature, believed him. It wasn't just that he didn't visit, it was that he was constructing an elaborate fiction, a phantom presence, to maintain an image, to avoid the truth, to absolve himself. The realization hit me like a physical blow. It wasn't just that they had forgotten me, they were actively erasing me from their lives and replacing me with a convenient lie. He didn't care enough to visit, but he cared enough to pretend to the very people who were now caring for me. What kind of son does that? My strong David, who once said, "Family comes first, Dad." That promise, once a beacon of light, now twisted into a dagger in my chest. He wasn't just abandoning me, he was abandoning the truth, abandoning everything I had ever tried to teach him about integrity and honor. I kept looking at that phone, as if it would suddenly ring with his voice, confessing, apologizing, but it stayed silent. It always stays silent. It wasn't just David, it was Sarah, my little Sarah, who dreamed of being a nurse who always looked out for others. She never called. My bright Michael, the architect who built things, he had built a wall between us. This lie, this single devastating lie, wasn't just David's. It was a reflection of all 3 of them. It showed me just how thoroughly they had cut me out, not just from their lives, but from their consciences. They wanted to appear good, caring children, even if it meant inventing a reality that didn't exist. My worth to them was now less than a convenient untruth. My head started to spin. All those years, all those sacrifices, all that love, was it all for this? To be a convenient lie on the other end of a phone call? To be a forgotten name in a silent room while my children lived their lives unburdened by my existence, untroubled by their broken promises? I felt a profound emptiness, deeper than any I had ever known. It wasn't just loneliness, it was an utter erasure. I wasn't even worth their truth. And it was at that moment that I started to wonder, where did I go wrong? I spent months asking myself, where did I go wrong? Until a letter, a single envelope, changed the question to what have they become? The question, where did I go wrong, echoed in my silent room for weeks, months, years. It was a constant companion, a tormentor. Was I too lenient? Too strict? Did I work too much or not enough? Did I fail to instill the values John and I held so dear? Loyalty, honesty, family. I replayed every memory, every conversation, searching for the moment, the word, the decision that had led us here. My hands, still capable of building, trembled as I searched for answers in the dust motes dancing in the artificial light of this care home. But no answer came, only the silence. Then, one Tuesday, it wasn't the silence that broke through. It was the sharp, unsettling rip of an envelope. It wasn't from Sarah or David or Michael. It was from a law firm I didn't recognize. Crisp, official, and cold. My heart fluttered, not with hope, but with a familiar dread. What fresh pain could this bring? I unfolded the letter with shaking hands, the stark black text swimming before my eyes. It wasn't a letter from a lawyer about my will, not yet. It was a notification, a cold, clinical notification from a mortgage lender, addressed to me, Arthur Maxwell. Overdue payments, final notice, foreclosure, on my old house, the house I built with my own hands, the house where I raised my children, the house they convinced me to leave for my own good, promising they would take care of everything. My vision blurred. They had promised. When they moved me here, Michael, with his architect's precision, had assured me, "Dad, we'll handle the mortgage. You've done enough. It's time for you to rest." Sarah had nodded, her eyes soft. "Don't you worry about a thing, Daddy." And David, my strong David, had put his arm around my shoulder. "Consider it our turn to take care of you." I had trusted them. I had signed papers believing they were taking over the financial burden, safeguarding the last vestige of my life with John, our family's foundation. But they hadn't. They had let it fall into ruin. They had let the bank come knocking, threatening to take away the very walls that had once sheltered their childhood. My home, my legacy, gone, lost. Not to me, but to their neglect, their broken word. The paper felt like a burning coal in my hands. This wasn't just abandonment anymore. This was a deliberate act of betrayal. They hadn't just forgotten me, they had actively orchestrated my downfall, allowing my last significant asset to be stripped away, while I sat here, helpless, thinking it was being protected. My old house, the one I had poured my sweat and soul into, was now just a ledger entry for a bank, a casualty of their indifference and deceit. It wasn't enough that I was out of their lives. They needed me to be completely erased, devoid of any financial ties, any claim, any asset. They didn't want the burden of a father. They didn't even want the burden of his property. Yet they were content to let it be destroyed, presumably because its existence was a reminder of me. My mind raced back to Michael's blueprints, his ambition, his precise calculations. Did he calculate this? Did he plan for my home to become collateral damage in their rush to be rid of me? And Sarah, my little nurse, who was supposed to be empathetic, did she feel nothing as my home slipped away? And David, my family comes first. David, who once vowed to protect his brother. Where was his honor now as he allowed his father's final sanctuary to be ravaged? This wasn't what I wanted for them. Not this hollow, self-serving existence. I wanted them to be honorable. I wanted them to be kind. I wanted them to be the people I had sacrificed everything to raise. But they had become shadows of those children, distorted by neglect and greed. The bitter taste of ash in my mouth returned, far worse than any forgotten birthday cake. What I'm about to reveal explains everything, and it will break your heart. The pain of this revelation was different from the loneliness. The loneliness was a slow, dull ache. This was a sharp, searing wound, a betrayal that cut to the very core of who I thought my children were. It wasn't anger that filled me. It was a profound, suffocating sorrow. I had raised them to be strong, independent, yes, but also to have a moral compass, to value their roots, to understand that family was not just a convenience but a sacred bond, and they had trampled all over it. The very foundation of their lives, the house I had built, was collapsing, not under its own weight but under the weight of their indifference. I saw their future, reflected in their present actions, a future built on hollow promises, on convenience, on the erasure of anything that required true effort or love. It was a bleak vision, and it broke my heart, not for myself, but for them, for the good people they could have been, for the legacy they chose to abandon. I didn't call them. I didn't send them the letter. What would be the point? They had already made their choice, proven their character. Confrontation would be futile, a desperate plea to deaf ears. It would only diminish the last sliver of my own dignity. Instead, I did something quiet, something deliberate, something only 3 people in this world, including myself, would ever know about until it was too late. I contacted a different lawyer, not the one from the bank, but a kind old man from a small firm near my old town, someone who remembered Arthur Maxwell as a man who built homes, not just lived in them. I told him everything, my story, my children's betrayal, the foreclosure notice, and then I told him my wishes. I explained to him meticulously, precisely, what I wanted to happen to what little I had left. My meager savings, the small pension I still received, the few personal items that carried sentimental value, things they hadn't bothered to take or sell. It wasn't much, certainly not the grand inheritance they might have once envisioned, but it was mine, and I would decide its fate. I wanted it to go to someone who understood the meaning of kindness, of human connection, someone who saw me, not as a burden, but as a person, and that someone wasn't family. It was Maria, the kind young nurse who brought me my tasteless oatmeal every morning, who always had a gentle word, a warm smile, who treated me like a human being, not just a room number. And the rest, I decided, would go to a local charity that supported elderly people facing loneliness and neglect. I wanted my final act to be one of purpose, a quiet testament to the values my children had so tragically lost. The lawyer, a man named Mr. Henderson, listened patiently, his eyes full of understanding. He drafted the documents, I signed them, my hand steady, despite the tremor that usually plagued me. It was a moment of clarity, a final, quiet assertion of my will, my worth, a devastating consequence for them perhaps, but a reclamation of my own truth for me. With this truth in my hands, there's only one thing left for me to say before the end. And now, the message that could change the life of whoever is watching. If you're watching this, if you've stayed with me through my story, then listen closely, really listen, because one day you'll be me. You'll be 92 years old, or 72, or 52, and you might be sitting in a quiet room, perhaps like mine, staring at nothing, waiting for a visit that never comes, for a phone to ring that stays silent. You'll remember all the things you did, all the thin G's you said, and all the things you didn't do, the words you didn't say. The money, the status, the busy schedules that seemed so important then, they will mean nothing, absolutely nothing. Only the faces, the laughter, the shared moments, the love. Only those memories will matter. And if those memories are as empty as this room, then your heart will ache in a way no painkiller can touch. My children, my Sarah, my David, my Michael, they believed they were busy. They believed their lives, their careers, their families were too demanding for an old man. They rationalized my absence, I'm sure, convinced themselves it was for my own good, or that I was fine, or that I didn't notice. But I noticed everything, every forgotten birthday, every unanswered call, every hollow promise. Do you know what would have made all the difference? It wasn't money. I never asked for their money. It was a 5-minute call, just 5 minutes once a week, to hear their voices, to know they still existed in my life. A quick text message saying, "Thinking of you, Dad." A single photo of my grandchildren, just to see their faces, to know they're growing up, to feel a connection to a future I won't see. An unexpected, "I love you, Dad," whispered into the phone, just once. These small gestures, these tiny crumbs of connection, would have been like winning the lottery to me. They would have filled this silence with more warmth than any expensive gift. They would have told me I was still seen, still loved, still a father, not just a ghost. My grandson, the one Michael never brought to visit, is probably a young man now. Does he even know my name? Does he know his grandfather taught his father how to build, how to fix things with his own 2 hands? My hands, once so strong, now just tremble. Not from cold, not just from age, but from the unbearable weight of this silence. They taught me how to live without them. They taught me how to die without them. But I never wanted that lesson. I wanted their presence. I wanted their love. I wanted to tell them just one more story, hear just one more laugh. Please, I beg of you, don't leave it for later. Don't tell yourself you'll visit next week or call tomorrow, because later might be too late. Tomorrow might never come. Hug your parents, tell them you love them. Not because you have to, but because they gave you life, they gave you everything, because one day they won't be there. And then, the silence you hear will be the echo of your own regret, far louder and more devastating than any you can imagine. Don't let your children face that silence one day, because you taught them it was acceptable. I'm recording this from my quiet room in the care home. Tomorrow they start the first round of chemotherapy for what the doctors call terminal. I wasn't just abandoned, I'm now facing my final battle completely alone. My 3 children, they still don't know. None of them have answered my calls in over 2 years. The cancer is aggressive, they say. My time is short, and I sit here, clutching a faded photograph, not of them, but of John, my dear wife, and I, young and full of hope. The will I signed, the one that disinherits them, that gives everything to Maria, the kind nurse, and to a charity. It's done. It's final. It's the only thing I had left to give, and I gave it to those who saw me, who cared, not for vengeance, but for dignity. For the silent acknowledgement that love, true love, is not just about blood. It's about presence, it's about heart. And so, here I am, my body failing, my spirit weary, but my message clear. I still have hope, a tiny, foolish, persistent spark of hope, deep within this old heart. I still have hope of seeing my son, my daughter, just one last time. Is that too much to ask before I close my eyes forever? So, this is my story, Arthur Maxwell's story. Just one among millions, I suppose, of forgotten elders living out their days in silence. If my words, my pain, my loneliness have reached you, if they've touched that place in your heart that understands what family means, please, don't turn away now. Don't put off that call, that visit, that simple text until tomorrow. My tomorrows are few, and for many like me, they may already be gone. Time doesn't go back, you see. Once those moments are lost, they're lost forever. And regret, my dear friend, is the only feeling that has no cure. It will haunt you, a relentless phantom in the quiet moments, far more painful than any physical ache. I'm sharing this, not for myself, but for you, for your parents, for your children. Break the cycle. Learn from my sorrow. If my story resonated with you, if you know someone who needs to hear this plea, please pass it on. Let my voice be a warning, a desperate whisper across the void. And if you have your parents, your father or mother still with you, hug them for me. Hug them while you still can with all the love you possess. Hold them tight. Feel their warmth. Tell them everything you want them to know, because one day you'll reach for them and they won't be there. And then the silence will be all yours to bear. Listen to other stories on this channel, portraits of life-soul pain, and let them remind you of what truly matters. Life is too short for unspoken love, too precious for regret,